to Beyond the Red House, where we turn trauma into triumph, pain into purpose. I'm Kayla Volturno, author of I Was Once the Girl in the Red House and a trauma-informed writing strategist. This is a podcast about what it takes to heal from trauma, not the polished version, the real one. I help trauma survivors claim their stories and their voices. But more than that, I'm someone who knows what it's like to spend years trying to heal, trying to move forward, trying to figure out how to be the person you always wanted to be instead of the person the trauma made you be. I am someone who knows what it's like to spend years trying to heal, trying to move forward, trying to be the person you always wanted to be instead of the person trauma made you. This podcast is about that journey, the messy, honest, imperfect work of breaking cycles, taking your voice back, and building a life that's truly yours. Whether you're in the early stages of healing, years into it, or thinking about writing your own story, you belong here. Let's dive in. Welcome to Beyond the Red House. For once, I want to be raw and honest, not polished, not trying to be someone that I'm not. I always feel like an imposter in the mental health field, when in reality, mental health and trauma have been my entire life. I have been running from my own mental health my entire life. It consumed me in my 20s, and now in my 30s, I've been healing. My trauma used to define who I was, and me talking about my trauma has made people very uncomfortable. It has made people look at me differently. I never wanted sympathy. I wanted to tell my story because I know that there are people out there who have gone through similar things I have. And if I could help one person not feel alone, then I've done my job. I was the person who felt alone, and I know now that I'm not the only one that has gone through things. I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and everyone deserves to tell their story in their own words. My trauma kept me small and scared, but telling my story liberated me. I used to stay up all night sometimes, thinking about how no contact is hard. Why didn't my mother love me? Why was that always in my head? Did my book silence everything? No, well, of course not. I'll have to think about certain things for the rest of my life, and I'll replay memories, and I get pop-up memories now and again. But what it did for me, it gave me my life back. And now when I say it gave me my life back, I don't mean I'm the person I was before. It helped me become the person I've always wanted to be. A person who could stand up for herself. A person who doesn't let her trauma define her. And so many times we're told to just get over what happened to us in the past. And that old saying, the past is the past for a reason. But just getting over it doesn't mean you're healing. Just getting over it is pushing it down as far as it can go, only for it to come back up, bubbling, in anger and sadness. And in moments you don't even know why you're upset. Everything you've dealt with in your life can come back in a moment's notice when you don't deal with it. And I've always been a person who truly worries about what other people think about me. I've been scared to put the truth out there for so long. And so many other survivors have that same feeling. And I have been talking to so many people who applaud me for putting my story out there. But also in their next breath, they say, I want to do the same, but I don't know if I can. And here's what I would say to anyone that feels that way. You know you have a story inside you. You have a way to change that narrative that's been written about you. You have a way to take your voice back. You should go for it. The scariest thing I did was pressing that schedule button on Amazon for my book, knowing that there was a date. That after 10 years of being scared, I finally had a date that everything I was holding inside me for so many years would be out for the world to see. And I still have moments when people say, oh, I read your book. I get nervous. Because that book was who I was for that period of time in my life. But it's not who I am now. Even almost a year later, I'm completely a different person than who I was when I wrote the book. Because every day, I'm healing, putting in the work, trying to better myself every day. Am I perfect? No, no one is. But I'm trying. And my goal is not to just sit back and say, I wrote my story, I'm better now, I could walk away. Because that's not who I am. I've always been a person who wants to help others. And a person who has the deep desire to help people achieve that same feeling of being free. I need to help others have that same feeling of being finally in control of their own lives. Not having someone else in control of your life has been the most liberating feeling I've ever had. And to the person who's scared, I have had so many people tell me that they're scared and afraid, and to that I will say, so was I. If anyone understands the feeling of how hard it is to write down the worst things that have ever happened to you, to sit there and remember them and think about them in a different light, in a different way, I am that person. It was an out-of-body experience. And I didn't spend 10 years writing this book on and off because I'm a bad writer. I didn't do it because I didn't have a story or because I didn't know what to write, because that's not the case at all. I was scared to come to terms with everything that has happened to me because I didn't know a way to do it without the trauma consuming me. And if you've ever felt alone in the journey of writing, if you know you have a story to tell, but you're too afraid to take that next step, I'm here for you. I had you in mind when I created the Trauma-Informed Publishing Blueprint. I created this 90-day program for all the people who've been telling me that they have a story, that they want to write a book, or that they wish they could write a book, but they don't know if they could do it. Because truly, if I could do it, anyone can. Telling your story is freeing. It's liberating. It's everything I wish I had done 10 years ago. It is the most healing experience I've ever had. But I wasn't ready back then. But are you ready now? I want to thank you for listening. And if you want to learn more about my program, the link will be in the show notes. And I want you to remember to give yourself some grace and some credit because you've survived the hardest part of your life. Now it's time to take back what is yours, your narrative, your story, and your freedom. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Red House. Keep building beyond whatever tried to break you at your own pace, in your own way. If you found value in this episode, there are 2 ways that I can support you. First, visit my website, kaylavalterno.com, for free resources. There's my book, I Was Once the Girl in the Red House, and tools to support your healing journey. And if you are ready to write your memoir, if you're finally ready to turn those scattered journal pages into a finished book, the Trauma-Informed Publishing Blueprint 90-day program gives you the structure and safety to complete your manuscript in 90 days without losing yourself in the process. You can learn more at my website, or you could request a free clarity email. All the links are in the show notes. I will see you next week. Take care of yourself.